A stranger among strangers. Alex stepped cautiously into the heart of Zephyria Prime, the bustling alien city that pulsed with life in ways he couldn't fully comprehend. His senses were immediately overwhelmed. Colors beyond what he had ever seen splashed in every direction, creating a vibrant canvas that felt both alien and welcoming. The air buzzed with the sound of countless voices speaking in languages that sounded as though they were in perfect harmony, though each word was an enigma to him. His eyes darted from one bizarre stall to another, each filled with goods and trinkets from worlds he had only ever read about in science fiction books. He was here on a diplomatic mission, but the reality of standing on an alien planet, surrounded by beings from all corners of the galaxy, was surreal. He felt small, almost insignificant, in comparison to the towering creatures that walked past him. The aliens in Zephyria Prime were as diverse as the stars themselves. Giant, multi-limbed beings with eyes that shimmered like the cosmos, insectoid merchants with antennae bobbing as they shouted prices at passing tourists, and small four-eyed creatures that seemed to appear out of nowhere, whispering excitedly to one another in a tongue Alex could never hope to understand. As Alex walked further into the marketplace, trying to follow the map that seemed to twist and turn in impossible ways, he found himself surrounded by the sense of alien foods that made his stomach turn, though his curiosity about these strange offerings was palpable. There was something invigorating about this place, even as the discomfort of being out of his element gnawed at him. He longed to make a good impression. This was his first real step into intergalactic diplomacy, and he wasn't about to make a fool of himself. Yet the awkwardness he felt seemed almost amplified here, surrounded by these beings who lived such vastly different lives from his own. "Excuse me, human, you're lost." A voice suddenly interrupted his thoughts. Alex jumped, turning toward the source of the voice. A blue-skinned merchant with two heads stood before him, holding out a bundle of what appeared to be glowing fruits. Their soft light flickered in the dim, artificial glow of the market, almost hypnotic. The merchant's wide, toothy smile made Alex feel even more out of place. "These will give you strength. For only a small price." The merchant's dual voices chimed in unison, almost like a chorus. Alex hesitated. The fruits looked strange, almost too vibrant to be real. But his stomach growled involuntarily, and a tiny part of him wondered if he should at least try one. But then, as if on instinct, he backed away, muttering a polite, "No thanks," and quickly continued on his way, not daring to meet the merchant's eager gaze. The further Alex went, the more the place seemed to envelop him. Zephyria Prime was unlike any city on Earth or anywhere in the galaxy that he had ever imagined. The air seemed to hum with an unspoken energy, as if the planet itself was alive, breathing alongside its inhabitants. And among them all, he felt like an intruder, a human who had wandered into a world that was too far removed from his own. He kept his head down and tried to avoid the curious eyes of the aliens around him, feeling a growing sense of isolation. Yet it wasn't just the aliens that seemed to draw attention to him. There was something about Alex that seemed to make the marketplace shift around him. A subtle energy radiated from him, one that felt unfamiliar to him. Perhaps it was the presence of humanity itself. Being in this place made him realize how much humanity was still uncharted. He had always believed that humans were just one part of the universe, but now, standing in the midst of these alien species, Alex couldn't help but wonder, how much did the universe really know about them? As Alex wandered deeper into the market, he caught sight of something that made him stop in his tracks. The crowds had begun to thin, and before him, a makeshift stage stood in the center of a small clearing. The platform was raised slightly, and from the low-hanging lights, he could see a stunning alien woman standing alone at its center. She had flowing hair that shimmered like liquid silver, catching the light and reflecting it in mesmerizing patterns. Her skin was a soft shade of violet, with blue undertones that shifted as she moved. The way she stood was so confident, so poised, it was as if she were born to command the attention of the universe. She wasn't just standing there. She was exuding a sense of control, of grace. The crowd that had begun to gather around her seemed drawn in, as if they couldn't help but watch her every move. And then she began to sing. The sound that emerged from her mouth wasn't like any human music Alex had ever heard. It wasn't just a melody. It was a physical thing, a vibration that seemed to reverberate through Alex's bones. The notes bent and twisted around each other, weaving into something ethereal, something that transcended the limits of his understanding. He felt it deep inside him, a kind of connection, as if her song was unraveling something inside of him. For a brief moment, Alex forgot where he was. He forgot that he was a human in a foreign land, surrounded by alien species, trying to navigate a culture that felt like it was designed to be incomprehensible. The alien woman's voice wasn't just beautiful. It felt ancient, like it had been born from the stars themselves. Her voice tugged at something inside of him, something deep, something raw. And then, just as he was about to take a step forward, his foot caught on something behind him. With a loud crash, he tumbled backward into someone. The impact sent a shockwave through his body as he collided with a towering figure, its massive body nearly sending him to the ground. "Watch where you're going, human," a deep voice growled. Alex scrambled to his feet, his heart racing in his chest as he looked up to see who he had bumped into. The alien before him was unlike anything he had ever seen. Standing at least 7 feet tall, its skin was a solid shade of dark blue, and its muscles were sculpted in ways that made Alex feel even smaller. It had a fierce glare, and its eyes glowed with an unsettling intensity. But it wasn't just its physicality that made Alex step back. It was the air of dominance it carried. This was no mere tourist, no merchant trying to make a sale. This was someone of importance. I'm sorry," Alex stammered, trying to regain his composure. But the towering figure didn't seem to care about his apology. Instead, it stared down at him with an air of judgment, as if Alex was nothing more than an insignificant speck in its universe. It didn't move, didn't say a word more, but Alex could feel its eyes on him, studying him in ways that made him feel even more out of place. The alien woman's song continued to rise in the background, but Alex couldn't help but feel his thoughts swirling around the massive creature in front of him. What had he just stumbled into? And more importantly, what had he gotten himself into now? The unseen hand. The alien's cold stare lingered on Alex, unblinking. The intensity of it felt like it was piercing right through him, probing his thoughts, unraveling every piece of information about him. It was unsettling, like being under a microscope, but with the knowledge that the creature before him had no intention of dissecting his outer self. Instead, it was looking for something deeper, something that Alex couldn't even begin to comprehend. He tried to speak, but his voice caught in his throat. His mouth felt dry, and he struggled to formulate any coherent words. The towering figure seemed to take some form of twisted pleasure in his discomfort, its mouth curling into a slight, almost imperceptible grin. Alex's heart pounded in his chest. He was no stranger to awkward situations, but this was different. This was an alien presence, an entity far beyond anything he had encountered in all his years of exploring the unknown. I'm sorry," Alex stammered again, his hands trembling as he straightened himself. "I didn't mean to." The figure, still towering over him, finally spoke, its voice a deep rumble that vibrated through Alex's entire body. "Apologies are a human weakness. You can apologize all you want, but it won't change the fact that you're a stranger here." Alex swallowed hard, feeling the weight of the words settle in his stomach like a stone. His mind raced as he tried to make sense of the situation. Was this some sort of test? Was this a ritual of some kind, an alien custom he wasn't aware of? Or was he simply in the wrong place at the wrong time? But before he could even begin to answer, the alien's posture shifted. It stepped back slightly, enough for Alex to breathe again, but not enough to make him feel at ease. Its gaze softened, though the underlying menace still lingered in the air like a cloud that refused to dissipate. "I'm not here to scare you, human," the alien said, its voice lowering to a more conversational tone. "Though you may feel that way. The Zephyrian Council has certain expectations of its guests. You are here for diplomacy, yes?" Alex nodded quickly, eager to salvage whatever shred of dignity he had left. "Yes, I'm here to meet with the Council, to discuss the future of human-alien relations, trade agreements, exploration." His voice trailed off, unsure if his words were coming out in a coherent way. The alien raised one of its massive hands, palm open, as if to indicate that Alex should stop. "I know what you are here for, human. But what I want to know is why you're here. Why you're standing in this marketplace, this place of chaos, surrounded by things you don't understand." Alex froze, taken aback by the question. The truth was, he didn't fully understand why he was here. The mission had been clear: an intergalactic diplomatic initiative, a chance to establish a foothold for humanity in the broader universe. But in that moment, as the words hung in the air between them, Alex realized that there was so much more at play here than just politics and trade deals. The alien continued, its tone now less harsh but still tinged with a kind of authority that left Alex feeling small. "The universe doesn't care for your kind. You believe your history, your species, is somehow special. But you are nothing more than children playing with fire. The truth of this galaxy is far darker than you imagine." Alex opened his mouth to protest, to argue that humanity had accomplished great things, had evolved and explored the unknown. But before he could speak, the alien raised a hand to silence him. "Your civilization may have potential," it said, its voice now almost thoughtful, as if musing to itself. "But potential alone is not enough. You lack the wisdom that other species have had millennia to acquire. And that, human, is where you fail." Alex didn't know how to respond. The weight of the alien's words pressed heavily on him. He had always believed that humanity's greatest strength was its ability to adapt, to learn, to survive in an ever-changing world. But here, in this alien marketplace, in this foreign city that felt both awe-inspiring and terrifying, he realized just how little he truly understood. "I don't know what you expect from me," Alex said finally, his voice quiet but firm. "But I'm here to listen. I'm here to learn. We, humans, want to make a difference. We want to contribute to the galaxy, not just take from it." The alien regarded him for a long moment, its eyes narrowing slightly. For a fleeting second, Alex thought he saw something other than judgment in those eyes, perhaps even curiosity, a glimmer of something that resembled respect. But it was gone as quickly as it appeared. "You speak with conviction," the alien said, "but words mean little without action. If you truly wish to understand, to prove that humanity is worthy of more than just tolerance, you will need to prove it. You will need to show us." Before Alex could respond, a sudden uproar erupted from the crowd. The sound of dozens of voices rising in confusion and alarm made his blood run cold. The alien's expression shifted instantly, becoming sharp and focused. "What is it?" Alex asked, his senses suddenly alert, his diplomatic composure slipping as he searched for the source of the commotion. The alien didn't answer immediately. It turned sharply, its body language tense, and Alex followed its gaze to a group of beings rushing toward the stage. The alien woman, whose voice had so entranced Alex moments ago, had stopped singing, her eyes wide with shock. The crowd around her was scattering, their movements frantic. And then, Alex saw it, moving through the crowd with a speed and fluidity that was unnatural, a creature unlike any he had seen before. It was tall, cloaked in black, with elongated limbs and an eerie stillness about it, as if it were a shadow made flesh. Its face was obscured, but the sense of danger emanating from it was palpable. "Stay here," the towering alien ordered, stepping in front of Alex. "This is not a place for diplomacy. This is a place where survival matters." Alex's heart raced. "Who is that?" "A hunter," the alien responded briefly. and it seems it has found something, or someone, it desires. The crowd began to panic, and Alex instinctively reached for his communicator, but the alien stopped him with a firm grip on his shoulder. "No communication," it hissed. "We must move quickly." Before Alex could protest, the alien began to lead him through the crowd, weaving through the mass of people as they tried to avoid the unseen threat. The market had transformed from a place of lively chaos to one of sheer terror. Alex's mind raced as he struggled to keep pace, his thoughts still reeling from the alien's cryptic words about humanity's place in the galaxy. Who was this hunter? And what did it want? As they moved deeper into the labyrinthine marketplace, Alex couldn't shake the feeling that he was being drawn into something much bigger than the diplomatic mission he had come here for, something far darker and far more dangerous than he could have ever imagined. The silent hunt. Alex's heart hammered in his chest as he and the towering alien moved deeper into the marketplace. The sounds of chaos echoed in every direction. Cries of fear, the pounding of boots on stone, the unmistakable feeling of a city on the edge of collapse. And yet, amid the panic, there was an eerie silence that seemed to cling to the alien's form. It moved with fluid precision, unhurried and steady, as if it had seen this kind of chaos 1,000 times before. The crowd around them surged, a mass of frantic beings from every corner of the galaxy, but the alien never faltered. Its sharp gaze scanned the environment, each movement calculated, as if it could anticipate the next step in this ever-evolving storm. Alex felt himself becoming increasingly aware of his surroundings. The marketplace, once a place of color and vibrancy, now seemed suffocating, as though the walls themselves were closing in. Strange scents and sounds filled the air. Alien languages, the hum of unfamiliar technology, the thick tang of something metallic. His skin prickled, every instinct screaming at him to run, to get out, but the alien beside him offered no such luxury. "Stay close," the alien instructed in a low voice, its tone urgent yet composed. "The hunter is near. It will not stop until it gets what it wants." "Who is this hunter?" Alex asked, breathless as they moved through the thickening crowd. "What does it want?" The alien didn't respond immediately. It kept its focus straight ahead, its dark eyes scanning the ever-worsening panic of the marketplace. Alex's questions, though burning in his chest, seemed to hang uselessly in the air, unanswered. The tension in the marketplace was palpable now, as if something had shifted, as if everyone knew something was coming, but no one could do anything to stop it. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the alien spoke, its voice quiet but sharp. "It is not a what you should worry about, human. It is a who." Alex's confusion deepened, but before he could respond, a loud screech echoed from above. It was a sound that chilled him to the bone. A shrill, almost animalistic cry that seemed to reverberate through the very air itself. The crowd went still, each person instinctively shrinking away from the noise, eyes wide with fear. The alien beside Alex tensed, its grip on his arm tightening. "Move," it ordered, its voice now filled with urgency. The panic broke out again in a wave of desperate movement. Beings from all walks of life scattered in every direction, seeking shelter in the narrow alleys, behind stalls, or beneath overhanging structures. The marketplace, once a hub of trade and negotiation, had become a battleground, one where the rules were dictated not by diplomacy or law, but by survival. Alex didn't hesitate. He followed the alien, his mind reeling from the recent revelations, as they moved quickly through the crowd. The screeching cry had faded, but the sense of impending danger hung thick in the air. They rounded a corner, slipping into an alleyway that was far quieter, though no less tense. "What's happening?" Alex asked, his voice barely above a whisper. The alien didn't answer right away. It moved with purpose, each step measured, eyes scanning the darkness ahead. Alex's heart continued to race, but now, beneath the panic, a different emotion began to grow. Curiosity. What was going on? And why had the alien been so insistent that they hide, rather than face whatever was coming? Finally, the alien spoke, its voice low and grim. "The hunter you saw earlier is not just a creature. It is a predator, a species known for hunting, for sport. But the sport is not mere amusement. It is a matter of survival." Survival. Alex repeated, still struggling to grasp the situation. Who survives? Who's hunting who? The alien's eyes narrowed, and for a moment, Alex thought it might not answer at all. But then, it spoke again, its voice tinged with something darker than before, perhaps even regret. "The hunter is not here for the usual prey. Its target is someone more valuable than any of the others in the marketplace." Alex's mind raced. Someone more valuable. What could be more valuable than the lives of the people who lived and worked here? What kind of being would risk everything to go after one individual in a crowd like this? And then it hit him. The pieces began to fall into place. The alien he was speaking with, the one guiding him through this maze of panic and fear. It had been speaking cryptically about humanity's place in the galaxy, about proving their worth. Was it possible? Could the hunter be after someone from Earth? Could it be? Alex's thoughts were interrupted by a sudden movement ahead of them. A figure, cloaked in shadows, dashed past the alley entrance, moving so quickly that it seemed to glide rather than run. The alien beside Alex stiffened, its hand shooting out to stop him from advancing any further. "That is it," the alien murmured under its breath. "That is the hunter." Alex's pulse quickened as he strained to see the figure in the darkness. The cloaked form moved with a predator's grace, fluid and purposeful, weaving through the crowd with ease. It was unnerving how easily the figure blended into the chaos, its presence barely noticeable to those around it. But Alex could feel it. The predator's hunger, its desire, its insatiable need to find his quarry. Who are they after?" Alex asked, his voice barely a whisper, but full of the fear and confusion that had been gnawing at him ever since he set foot on this planet. The alien hesitated for a moment before answering, and when it did, its voice was as cold as the vast expanse of space itself. "They are after someone important, someone with the knowledge and power to shift the balance of everything. The hunter's prey is you." Alex froze. His stomach turned to lead, and his breath caught the descent. The cold air in the alley seemed to sharpen with each breath Alex took. He could feel the sweat trickling down his spine, but it wasn't the oppressive heat of the marketplace that made him uncomfortable. It was the tension, the absolute certainty that something terrible was about to unfold, and he, for reasons still beyond his understanding, was right in the middle of it. The alien's grip on his arm tightened, pulling him deeper into the maze of narrow streets. The further they moved, the darker it became. The sounds of the marketplace, shouts, cries, footsteps, grew distant, replaced by the oppressive silence that seemed to envelop the alleys like a thick, suffocating fog. "Stay close," the alien muttered, its voice now almost a low growl. "We don't have much time." Alex's thoughts were racing. He still couldn't fathom why this alien had chosen him as its charge. What did the hunter want with him? Why was he, an ordinary human diplomat, suddenly at the center of an intergalactic predator's hunt? His mind buzzed with questions, but the alien's urgency made it clear there would be no answers. Not now, at least. The alley twisted, winding deeper into the heart of the city. The buildings on either side seemed to close in, their dark, jagged edges almost cutting into the sky itself. It felt as though they were descending into some forgotten corner of the universe, a place where the rules of civility had long since ceased to matter. Finally, the alien stopped at a rusted door, its surface covered in strange symbols that Alex couldn't decipher. The alien didn't hesitate. It stepped forward, its hand sliding over the door, and with a faint click, it swung open. Inside was a small, dimly lit room. There were no windows, no signs of life, just cold stone walls and the faint hum of unseen machinery. "This is where we hide," the alien said simply, stepping aside to let Alex enter. Alex hesitated. The space felt wrong. There was something unsettling about it, the way the shadows seemed to move, the way the air tasted of something metallic, as though the room had not been used in ages. But the alien had spoken with such authority that Alex felt compelled to follow. Once inside, the alien sealed the door behind them, plunging the room into near-complete darkness. The only source of light came from a faint glow emitted from the alien's skin. The soft, ethereal light cast an eerie pallor over the room, but it was enough for Alex to make out the contours of the small space. "What is this place?" Alex asked, his voice almost swallowed by the silence. "A safe house," the alien replied tersely, its eyes glowing faintly in the dark. "A place where we can regroup and prepare for what comes next. It won't be long before the hunter finds this place too. But we have a small window to gather our strength." "Why? Why me? Why am I so important?" Alex's frustration boiled over. The questions had been tormenting him ever since he stepped onto this strange planet, and now, with the hunter closing in, they were driving him to the brink of madness. The alien's gaze softened for just a moment. "You are important because you are the key to something that could change everything. The hunter knows this. That is why it is after you." Alex's mind spun, trying to process the weight of the words. Key to what? What could he, an ordinary human, possibly have that was so important to an intergalactic predator? "There is a device," the alien continued, stepping closer to Alex, "a device that can alter the course of history. The hunter is not simply a creature, it is a part of a larger organization, a faction of powerful beings who control the balance of power in the galaxy. They would do anything to get their hands on that device." "Where is it?" Alex asked, his voice barely a whisper. The alien's lips curled into something that could almost be described as a smile, but it didn't reach its eyes. "It is inside you." Alex recoiled, his heart racing. "Inside me? What do you mean?" The alien didn't respond immediately. It reached out, its fingers brushing against the side of Alex's face, tracing a strange pattern along his skin. Alex flinched at the touch, but the alien's hand remained steady, almost soothing. "You don't remember, do you?" the alien said softly. "Of course you wouldn't. It was done in secret, hidden from you." "Remember what?" Alex's voice cracked, panic rising in his chest. He had no idea what the alien was talking about. What secret? What was hidden? "There was a mission, long before you were ever sent to this planet," the alien explained. "A mission to plant the device in a place where no one would think to look, a place where no one would expect it to be, a place where its power could be wielded by someone who would never suspect the truth." The words were like a punch to the gut. The alien's gaze bore into him, its eyes searching his for something. Was it hope? Regret? Whatever it was, it sent a chill down Alex's spine. "The device was placed inside you," the alien continued, its voice colder now. "It was planted in your body, linked to your neural system. It has remained dormant for years, but now, the hunter's faction has learned of it, and they will stop at nothing to retrieve it." Alex felt the floor tilt beneath him. His stomach turned, bile rising in his throat. This couldn't be real. It couldn't be. He was just a diplomat, a negotiator. But now, everything he knew seemed like a lie. How could he have something so valuable inside him and not know it? You're telling me I'm some kind of weapon?" Alex managed, his voice barely audible. The alien's eyes narrowed. "Not a weapon, Alex. A key. A key to control the galaxy's future. The device inside you is the culmination of years of research, of manipulation. It is a map, a guide, to an ancient power that has the potential to reshape everything. And the hunter's faction will stop at nothing to harness it." Alex's head was spinning. He stumbled backward, his hands gripping the edges of the stone walls for support. "But I didn't ask for this," he gasped. The alien's gaze softened, but it was clear that the gravity of the situation was beyond both of them. "I know. None of us ever asked for this. But now we must find a way to ensure that this power is not misused. We must protect you, or the consequences will be dire." There was a long pause, the weight of the alien's words pressing down on Alex like a physical force. His mind raced, trying to understand what it all meant. The hunter was closing in. The device inside him, this key, could alter the future of the galaxy. And somehow, Alex had become the most important figure in a war he never even knew existed. The sound of footsteps echoed faintly outside the safe house, and Alex's blood ran cold. The hunter was close, too close, and for the first time since he set foot on this planet, Alex realized that survival was no longer just about escaping the chaos. It was about unlocking the truth and facing the impossible choice that awaited him. The confrontation. Alex's heart thundered in his chest, each beat like the countdown to an inevitable explosion. The footsteps outside the door grew louder, more deliberate. The hunter was closing in. Alex could feel the tension in the room, a palpable force that seemed to wrap around him like a vice. Every breath he took felt too loud in the stillness, every movement too clumsy. His mind was a blur of racing thoughts, trying to piece together everything he had just learned. The device, the power, the alien's cryptic words, they were all too much for him to understand, too much for him to bear. But one thing was clear. The hunter wasn't here just to find the device. It was here to destroy everything in its path to ensure its faction's domination over the galaxy. And Alex, whether he liked it or not, was standing in the way. The alien next to him stood motionless, its eyes fixed on the door. Its posture was calm, but Alex could see the tension in its muscles. It was waiting for the right moment to act. "What happens now?" Alex asked, his voice tight with fear. "What do we do?" The alien turned to him, its expression unreadable. "We wait. We can't afford to make a move until we know exactly where the hunter is. If we rush, it will be too late." Alex nodded, though it did little to ease the storm brewing in his mind. He glanced at the walls of the room, the cold stone stretching upward into the darkness. There was no escape here, no way out. The only path left was through the door, the one that would open onto whatever nightmare awaited them. The footsteps outside stopped. Silence. Then the door to the safe house trembled slightly as if something, or someone, had just pressed against it. Alex's blood ran cold. The alien's voice was a low whisper. "It's here." In a single fluid motion, the alien reached for the door, its hand glowing faintly. The air around them seemed to hum with energy as the alien prepared to act. Alex felt a strange sensation rising in his chest, an electric charge running through the air, making his skin prickle with unease. The door swung open with a soft creak, and there, standing in the threshold, was the hunter. The creature was tall, its dark, armored form casting a long shadow into the room. Its eyes, glowing with an unsettling orange hue, scanned the space with a predator's precision. It had no face, at least, not in the conventional sense. Its head was a smooth, featureless mass, save for the hollow, dark sockets that stared into Alex with unblinking focus. For a long moment, there was nothing but silence. The hunter did not move. It did not speak. It simply watched, sizing up its prey. Alex's breath caught in his throat. He had expected danger, but he hadn't expected this. The sheer presence of the hunter, its stillness, its silence, was more terrifying than anything he had imagined. It was not just a creature. It was an embodiment of death itself, waiting for the right moment to strike. "Step aside," the hunter finally said, its voice a low, rasping growl that reverberated in the room. "I am not here for you." The alien beside Alex did not flinch. "You're here for him," it said, its voice steady despite the danger. "And you won't take him without a fight." The hunter's lips twisted into something resembling a smile, though it was far from comforting. A fight? No. I have no intention of fighting you, alien. You are not my concern. The creature's gaze flickered to Alex, its cold, emotionless eyes narrowing. But he is. Alex's stomach churned. What do you want from me? He demanded, his voice trembling despite his best efforts to sound strong. The hunter took a step forward, its long metallic claws scraping across the stone floor. The sound was deafening, a constant reminder of its terrifying presence. I want what is inside you, it said. The device. The key to ultimate power. You are nothing more than a vessel for something much greater. The alien beside Alex stepped forward, its posture defensive. If you think we're just going to hand it over to you, you're gravely mistaken. The hunter's smile widened, but there was no humor in it. You misunderstand, alien. I don't need to take it from him. I just need to make him understand what he is, what he was always meant to be. Alex's mind spun. Was this true? Was he really nothing more than a pawn? A key to something that could alter the galaxy's fate? The weight of the device inside him felt more oppressive now, as if it had somehow awakened to the impending danger. You don't know what you're dealing with, the alien warned, its voice low and fierce. This is not just about power. This is about balance. If you release that device into the wrong hands, it will destroy everything. You don't understand its true potential. The hunter tilted its head slightly, its glowing eyes never leaving Alex. I understand perfectly, it said, its voice dripping with contempt. That is why I have been sent to collect it. The air around them seemed to grow colder, charged with an energy that was almost palpable. Alex could feel his heart pounding in his chest as the tension in the room escalated. The alien, the hunter, they were both here for the same thing. And Alex, whether he was ready for it or not, was the one who held the key to it all. I will give you one chance, the hunter continued, its voice growing colder. Step aside and allow me to take what is mine. If you do not, well, I don't need to explain what will happen. The alien didn't budge. You will not have it. Not without a fight. There was a long, tense silence. Alex could feel the walls closing in on him. The room seemed to shrink, the air too thick to breathe. He was caught in the middle of something far beyond his comprehension, something dangerous and all-consuming. Suddenly, the hunter lunged. It was a blur of movement, a flash of darkness that filled the room. The alien reacted instinctively, its glowing hand shooting out to intercept the attack. There was a crackling sound, like the air had been torn apart, and a burst of energy shot through the room, knocking Alex off his feet. The hunter staggered back, momentarily thrown off balance, but it was fast. Too fast. It surged forward again, its claws extending as it aimed for Alex. But before it could strike, the alien intervened once more, blocking the blow with an energy shield that shimmered in the dim light. Alex scrambled to his feet, his heart racing. The battle before him was a blur of light, sound, and violence. The alien fought with precision, its movements swift and calculated. The hunter, however, was relentless. Its speed, its strength, its sheer willpower made it a force to be reckoned with. As the two combatants clashed, Alex felt something shift within him. The device inside him, this mysterious, powerful key, began to hum, a deep, resonant vibration that seemed to echo in his bones. It was as if it was awakening, responding to the chaos around it, as if it recognized the stakes at hand. He couldn't explain it. He didn't understand it. But one thing was clear. Alex was no longer just a helpless bystander in this war. He was a participant, a pawn, maybe, but a player nonetheless. And whatever happened next, whatever choices he made, would determine the fate of everything. The choice. The clash between the alien and the hunter escalated, each strike reverberating through the room like thunder. Alex could feel the ground beneath him tremble with the intensity of the battle. His mind raced, unable to process the overwhelming chaos. The hum of the device inside him grew louder, a deep, resonant thrum that seemed to echo through every fiber of his being. The energy pulsing within him was undeniable. It felt alive, conscious, almost as if it was aware of what was happening, aware of the danger that loomed over them all. The hunter was relentless, each blow aimed with deadly precision. It was fast, faster than Alex could track with his eyes, its movements a blur of lethal intent. But the alien was no slouch either. Its speed matched the hunter's, and its energy shield held strong against the forceful attacks. Still, the hunter pressed forward, relentlessly striking at the alien with a combination of physical strength and energy blasts that cracked the stone walls around them. Alex stumbled back, his head spinning as he tried to make sense of it all. He had no training, no knowledge of how to fight, how to survive in a battle like this. He was just an ordinary man, thrust into an extraordinary situation. He had never asked for any of this. The device, the hunter, the alien, it was all too much, too overwhelming. Yet here he was, at the center of it all, with the fate of the galaxy hanging on his every decision. A sharp pain shot through his chest, and Alex gasped, his body convulsing involuntarily as the device inside him pulsed with violent energy. It was as if it was reacting to the struggle before him, pulling him into the conflict whether he wanted to be involved or not. He could feel the heat of the energy building, like a storm brewing deep within him. Focus. The alien's voice broke through his thoughts, snapping him back to the present. You must choose. The device. It is your power now. Use it. Alex's mind reeled. How could he use something he didn't understand? The device was alien, incomprehensible, something far beyond his grasp. But the words echoed in his mind, relentless, urging him to act. Use it. What did that mean? How could he? The hunter roared, launching another brutal assault on the alien, its claws slashing through the air with such force that sparks flew from the impact. The alien deflected the blow, but Alex could see it faltering. The fight was wearing it down. Every second, the hunter was gaining ground, and with each passing moment, Alex felt the weight of the device inside him grow heavier, more insistent. He glanced at the alien, who was locked in battle, its glowing energy shield flashing as it fought off the hunter's blows. Despite its strength, Alex could see that it was tiring. The hunter was too much for it. The alien's movements were slowing, its focus beginning to waver. Time was running out. A sudden realization struck him like a lightning bolt. The device wasn't just a tool. It was part of him now. And he, in turn, was part of it. This wasn't just about survival. It was about understanding the power he had been given. The choice wasn't just about fighting. It was about how he would use what was within him. He wasn't the helpless pawn he had thought he was. He was the key to everything. Alex closed his eyes, breathing deeply, feeling the energy that was thrumming within him. It was chaotic, untamed, but it was his to command. He had been given a chance, not just to survive, but to shape the future. The hunter wanted the device, yes, but it had no understanding of what it could truly do. It was a power far beyond anything the hunter could imagine. In that moment, Alex made his decision. With a sudden, explosive force, he threw his hands up, and the energy inside him erupted. A blinding flash of light filled the room, sending a shockwave through the walls. The hunter screamed, its body jolting backward as the blast of energy slammed into it. The alien barely had time to react as the entire room was bathed in a radiant glow. For a moment, time seemed to slow, the chaos around Alex fading into a blur as he focused on the power within him. He could feel it now. He was no longer just a vessel for the device. He was one with it. The energy surged through him, amplifying his every thought, every emotion. He could feel the intricacies of the device, its immense power, and its connection to the greater fabric of the universe. It wasn't just a weapon. It was a force of creation, a key to unlocking potential beyond imagination. And Alex was its master. The hunter was writhing on the floor, its once imposing form now reduced to a crumpled heap the energy from Alex's blast overwhelming it. Its body twitched violently, and its glowing eyes dimmed as if the very life was being drained from it. The alien, too, was caught in the blast's wake, but unlike the hunter, it seemed to adapt, its form bending with the energy, its glowing shield flaring as it shielded itself from the force. It was not completely unscathed, but it stood firm, watching Alex with an expression of awe. What did you do?" the alien asked, its voice shaking with disbelief. "You've unlocked it. You've embraced the device." Alex looked down at his hands, still tingling with the remnants of the energy. The world seemed to shimmer around him, like reality itself was bending to his will. "I didn't do it," he said, his voice low but steady. "I just listened." The alien was silent for a long moment, as if processing the enormity of what had just occurred. The hunter, once a force of destruction, was now lying motionless on the ground, defeated. Alex's mind was still reeling, his thoughts a jumble of questions, but there was one thing he knew for certain. He had made a choice, and that choice had changed everything. As the light in the room slowly faded, Alex turned toward the alien. "Is it over?" he asked, his voice tinged with uncertainty. "Is it really over?" The alien nodded, though its expression was somber. "For now," it said quietly. "But the path ahead is not clear. The device is not a tool of simple destruction. It is a tool of creation and of balance. It must be wielded with care, with wisdom. It cannot be used for selfish gain." Alex's chest tightened. "And if I fail, what happens then?" The alien's gaze hardened. "If you fail, the consequences will be catastrophic. The device is a weapon, yes, but it is also a responsibility. It can either preserve life or destroy it, but only you can decide which path you take." Alex stood still, the weight of the alien's words settling over him. He had always thought that power was about control, about domination. But now he understood that true power was about choice, and the choices he made from this point on would shape not just his own destiny, but the fate of the entire galaxy. The future was uncertain, but for the first time, Alex felt ready to face it. He had chosen his path, and no matter what challenges lay ahead, he would walk it with the understanding that the greatest power was not in the device, but in the choice he had made. The alien placed a hand on his shoulder, its touch cool but reassuring. "Remember, Alex," it said softly, "the power is within you, but so is the wisdom to use it." And with that, Alex turned to face the future, a future full of endless possibilities, and the weight of a choice that would change everything.